Annyeong. Hello, I am the Dark Fae, and welcome back to Confessions of a First-Time Dungeon Master. As always, if you missed the last session, I'll put a link to it up in the corner for you over here. You can check it out, catch up on what you missed, and come here to find out what happened next. We are now on session 37, so let's begin. So, last time we left off, we have just started into combat. So, in this session, everyone rolls initiative against this sort of statue that has now come to life. I'm calling them effigies. So this is an effigy of fear. So the way that this creature works, I'll put its stats and kind of abilities here. It's a little bit similar to the Drowned Guardian in that fear plays a big mechanic, and that it has multi-attack as well as several spells that it can cast. So at the start of its turn, one of the big things basically is its horrifying visage, which is an effect that I believe some undead have, and I think some hags might have, or banshees, where players need to roll a wisdom saving throw, and then that fear persists, and they can save at the end of their turns. But in this time around, because this is like an effigy, created by Sinkane, the Oni, and it's not like a magical creation of a goddess, it is easier. I did purposely kind of scale these statues so that they're not meant to be die hard super difficult, but they are meant to have each unique mechanics and be an interesting fight. So, the players this time rolled really well. So a lot of the things that force saving throws, they were able to succeed on, which is good because this creature's multi-arm attacks can actually paralyze you. So that did come into effect. It kind of dropped some of their concentration spells, our cleric's Shield of Faith kind of dropped pretty quickly from being paralyzed because you are incapacitated. Concentration does drop when you're incapacitated. But overall, nobody, I think, went unconscious. But the effigy did do, I think, a good bit of damage. Never got to the point where it attacked a paralyzed character for that auto crit. So that was part lucky and part strategic, I guess, on their part, because they were rolling really good saving throws and didn't really stay paralyzed for that long. And then, so eventually, after some time, they do defeat the effigy and it kind of just crumbles back into stone. And then they decide that for at least the elves, who is a feature of elves, only need 4 hours in order to get the benefits of a long rest. They decide to try and take a nap in this foyer area since there are no longer any enemies seemingly about. Sorry, before that, actually, they see that the little orb that is above the door is now glowing a purple color. And as they go up to the door to inspect it, one of the shadows actually, who is like a butler kind of a shadow, kind of produces a platter from out of nowhere and uncovers it and hands them a kind of a black, intricate kind of a key that has 5 different notches kind of along its length. And one of them is lit up in a matching purple color, and the rest are blank or empty. But Bahir takes the key. This door, however, does not have a keyhole, so they are currently confused as to what it does. But now they decide to try and take their long rest, and this is where me as the DM, with long quests or long kind of dungeon crawly kind of things, trying to make them conserve their resources because resting will be difficult is something that I kind of struggle with, because of just forcing encounters or forcing things to interrupt them is still a little bit new to me, and I'm not as comfortable with it. But basically, once like a couple hours into the rest, I told them that like as the shadows kind of oddly lengthen in this like windowless room, kind of signaling evening time, all of the servants kind of all just disappear and meld into the floor. And then that's when the statues that are in this chamber, which are all of like various humanoid figures in different poses, they actually come to life. They're actually real people who have been encased in stone or petrified, but they have also been kind of cursed or being controlled by the Oni so that they animate and start to guard the foyer, basically. So as those kind of gargoyle golem kind of things start to advance, they decide to push through the door, which is now unlocked, and go ahead to the next room. So now they find themselves in kind of a reception area where there is a kind of a shadowy librarian or secretary looking figure behind a desk who looks to be kind of cataloging books. On her desk is a sign that says, "Quiet in the library, please." There is a door to her right, their left, that leads, that has a sign above it that says, "The library." So I think Basil and Tyrell and Valkyrie, they go up and ask some questions. Basically, she tells them that she's not the librarian, but in order to advance through the tower, you'll have to go through the library. The library, like, you'd probably be not allowed to leave unless you gain some sort of knowledge, is hinting at needing solve puzzles. Or at least for me it was. She basically also kind of warns them the librarian is like strict and does not permit troublemakers in her library, but like if you behave, she will probably leave you alone. But she's very concerned kind of with the books and doesn't like loud noises. You gotta be quiet in the library. So basically they just said, like, originally I think Umric and Valkyrie wanted to try and continue their long rest like on the reception floor. The secretary not very happy about that, so they respectfully kind of agreed to go to the library and maybe find a place to take a nap. But upon entering the library, I'll show you the map now. And basically just like rows and rows of bookshelves that I placed in the wrong orientation. But they kind of go exploring for a little bit. And so the books here are a weird collection. It's not like a true library where you can go and like find books, like actual books on certain subjects or do research. It's more a collection of books that have been turned into like into traps or into houses for souls, because this librarian has been taught by the master to do some dark shit, and a lot of these books actually hold the remnants or like the essence of souls within them. Some of them are like meek and tormented, others are just like corrupted and scream when opened. So it being a library, a couple of them do pull some books, and so basically I have them roll percentile dice to see what kind of a book they get. There's a percentage that the book is blank, that the book is like a tormented soul that's asking for release, or a soul that is corrupted and will or just explode or scream. And there's a small percent that they actually pick up a real book that has on some very kind of dark subject matter around the tower or Sincane's interests. So the first book that Basil pulls is a book that holds a soul, but is one of the like meeker ones. And so basically, as he opens it, it just writes out "Help me" in ink, and you just immediately nopes out of there and shuts that. Second book that Valkyrie picks up, however, is one of the ones that screams. So this like very Harry Potter-esque, the face kind of pushes out from the pages and screams, and that alerts the librarian. So the librarian, she is like a female kind of humanoid with like long kind of dark hair that kind of obscures most of her face, but she does have 2 like very round, kind of lidless white eyes that are kind of glazed over with this milky film. And from her back actually extends these 4 extremely long and thin arms that kind of like seem to bend like every which way, and with like long kind of elongated hands and claws. And she uses those to kind of raise herself up and walk, and like she can like crawl over the bookshelves and such. So basically that's what they see. Crawling over the bookshelf is now this human who's being held aloft by these long kind of 4 spidery limbs, and her hands actually morph into these like bone-like scythes almost, and she can strike 4 times at them, dealing some damage. But as soon as they are kind of quiet again, as soon as she finishes attacking, she kind of seems to lose interest in them. They kind of throw a book down the corridor to make some noise, and she kind of turns and scuttles off towards it. She kind of hears by like echolocation-y kind of an effect. So that is the librarian, and that is why they need to keep quiet. But eventually making their way around the library and kind of exploring a little bit, they come across a few interesting things. So the first is a section of the bookshelf that is empty, and that doesn't seem to have any books on it, but they kind of just pass by it and explore the rest. In the upper left-hand corner, there are a series of 5 statues, kind of these like busts made out of the same kind of dark stone of various kind of female humanoid figures. And in the middle of the library is kind of an open area with some chairs and a rug, and there's a book that is open on a pedestal with like a pen and ink next to it and a little chest down at the bottom. They do find a door that leads to the librarian's study in the very western wall of the library, and then at the northern wall, at the very top, is the exit, which is the same ornate kind of set of double doors, but this one kind of has a stone plaque kind of sealed or like mounted against the doors, and it reads thusly. I'm really proud of these puzzles, by the way, because I made them all rhyme and they were like versed and shit. So the library riddle that they have to solve basically is this, and I'll put it up here so you can follow along. For you in search of knowledge, there is no other place to be than a room that's filled with books and tomes, the helpful library. But if deeper through this tower is perhaps where you look to go, we feel that we should warn you of what you might not know. So here within the library are hidden several clues. Solve them to find your answers, but you must obey the rules. For one wrong word or one wrong choice could draw the shadow's ire, and then we cannot help you, for your situation's dire. But if indeed you manage to solve all that you see, then answer us this question: what will this tower be? And so, from the kind of points of interest that they've investigated, they have seen that each one is kind of marked with a very specific kind of metal engraving. So it's this little metal plate that has kind of a face imprinted into it with a moon kind of on the face's forehead. And these are the 3 puzzles that they have to solve. So the first one that they go look at is the book. The book is sitting on a pedestal, and there's a little actual chest underneath it that says, "The book holds the key." And I believe Tyrell is the one to first look at the book, and basically it opens to this page that says, blank was taking a walk through the hills when they came upon a blank tree. They walked up to the tree and reached up, plucking one of the ripe, delicious-looking fruits. And then there's kind of like an ink drawing of a little person with like a hilly kind of plain, and then like a tree. And I described that the little figure looks vaguely like Tyrell. It's like a rudimentary drawing, but it has kind of elven features, like a cloak, kind of looks like him, to the point where like when the players are like staring at the illustration, it's like, is that Tyrell? Who's our fighter? So they get weirded out by the book and instead go to the statues. the statues, there are 5 kind of busts and then 5 objects in front of them. The objects are a metal crown, a kind of stone carving of a set of eyes, stone set of claws, a stone carving of a moon, and a stone kind of smile with creepy looking teeth. And this one also has a plaque and a rhyme, which I will also read to you because, my god, designing puzzles is hard. Especially when designing puzzles to like a theme or like a history or lore that you yourself have created. My god, is it difficult. So, this one says, "Now we have a lesson next of those beneath the moon. See how much you might not know of those given terror's boons. Before you placed our statues of saints and sinners both, some of whom would serve the dark and some who broke their oath. Yet each of them did have their part in shaping present day, so you will have to place them well with their symbols on display. First is Saint Criella, a daughter spurned and scorned. Because of her, great Uladak fell deranged to fate forlorn. Now Niobe Pa will introduced, but no, she is not next. For some time she conquered Azadon, using fear to great effect. Saint Lathir Belaja, a drow, is neither left nor right. She boasts a knowing smile, her whispers filling you with fright. Saint Drea waits for you to sleep, a nightmare in the flesh. Beware the eyes that watch you, as dark illusions spring afresh. And now, of course, is Wistria, Our Lady of the Mad. She's furthest from her blood and bone, that saint that's ironclad. Now with these clues and lessons, here comes our guarantee. Place right the statues and their things, and receive your lettered key." So basically, the players have to put the statues in the correct order and match them with the correct things. Let me know down in the comments below what you think the correct order and the correct matching of items is. We'll see if you can figure it out. The players, they did get the order correct, but the objects were incorrect the first time. And so at an incorrect answer, the objects all kind of leap back into their original positions, and the statues kind of animate and attack them before returning back to their positions. So on the second try, however, they do get it right, and then the little metal kind of engraving of the face opens, and they receive these 3 stone like little blocks that have the letters Y, U, and G. I should have mentioned in the tablet on the door that kind of holds the riddle, there is a little like empty slot for what could be stone blocks to go. And so with that, they do a little bit more investigating around the library, and they kind of realize that the door is to the librarian's study, and they have seen the librarian with like a small key around her neck, as well as a kind of a ruby necklace, which does play a part into her character. She does have a story. During this time, Basil is kind of trying to like talk to the librarian to try and get her to help, but she is not really in a state where she can communicate and help. She's kind of an attack on, not attack on sight, but like attack on listen, kind of attack on hearing kind of a thing. So as he talks to her, she goes and strikes out at him. He's down to like not a lot of health, maybe like 7 health, and with all the short resting they've been doing, they're low on hit dice. So we will see how that goes. But basically with solving that puzzle, that is where basically then at that point the rest of them kind of decided to try to finish taking their long rest. I was a little bit lenient with this. I probably shouldn't have been, because theoretically Umric would really have been the only one to be able to benefit from like a interrupted long rest, because the others did do stuff in the meantime, but I was lenient about it, so the elves who needed it, took a long rest. And then at the end of the session, they were kind of like plotting. It was like, oh, maybe we should just kill the librarian, and that way we have free reign of the library. We can rest here as much as we want, and then just kind of investigate without being disturbed. And in my head, I'm like, oh, you think. But yeah, they don't know. This tower is not a safe place. So we'll see. I also learned that you cannot benefit from more than one long rest at a time. So that will be interesting because now some of them are on different cycles. But that will be our next session. Let's see if they actually do kill the librarian. That will be... The librarian is more difficult than you might expect. She's got a lot of like soul stuff that she can do. So like she can kind of, if you look at this spell like Soul Jar, and like do special things when you have captured souls, she can kind of do that. So that might be interesting, but that will be for next time. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you're excited to see. Hope you enjoyed the puzzles. I worked really hard on the puzzles, but next time you will find out what the solution maybe to the other two puzzles are. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for notifications when I put out new videos. And I will see you all in the next one. I love you all. Bye.